So I'm back, and it's been a while since I made a video because this topic I'm a little nervous about talking about. It's a little bit controversial. As you know by the title, I'll be defending some influencers' music. There's a lot of influencer music that I don't like. And in this video, I want to talk about what makes the bad songs bad and what makes the good songs good, which is a simple question with an extremely complicated answer. When I think of influencer music, there is a certain sound that comes to my mind. If we're talking about what makes the bad songs bad, I think it comes down to a few different topics. Of course, there is this highly argued upon topic of authenticity in music. Do people actually want authentic music, or do we just want music that is seemingly authentic? But if we're thinking of authenticity in music, there is something that the majority of people hate: music that is so obviously a cash grab. When it comes to influencer music, these are people who may not have even thought of starting a career in music until it was thrown into their lap. Influencers get opportunities that the average human will not. And sometimes those opportunities come in the form of studio time with a producer. YouTubers especially are set up for failure when it comes to making music because the roots of YouTuber music are parody songs. YouTube channels like Smosh especially made a bunch of parody songs and songs that were supposed to be a joke. So because of this history in parody songs, that might be skewing viewers' judgment on YouTuber music when they release it, even if it's not supposed to be a parody. There's also that avenue of your fans are not expecting you to make music. They're expecting you to make funny videos. So if you put out official music video and throw a song on your channel that's usually you trying a bunch of gummy candy, your fans most likely aren't going to like that because it's not what they were expecting to hear from you. So that's another reason why the perception of influencer music is never really good, because it's not something people are expecting from them. Going back to learning in the spotlight, influencers already have such a big following. So when they start to make music, they already have a bunch of critics, and people who are not fans of them but know them because they're already so big have opinions because, oh my god, KSI just made a song that sucks. Let's talk about it. And it's gonna get you views. Hating things gets views. A debut song is not usually heard by your millions and millions of followers because at that point in your music career, you wouldn't have millions and millions of followers. So the fact that these influencers already have such a following and they're putting out a song that's supposed to be their introduction to releasing music, they don't have any room to find their voice, find their sound on their own. When they release a song, it's going to be heard by so many people, even if it's not what their sound is going to end up like. I can think of so many musicians that took a while to find their footing, and especially with Best New Artist picks this year, we have artists like Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan who've been around in the industry for years and years and years, and they're just now getting recognized for their music because their music now has a place in society and their music has only improved. They're gaining a following as their music gets better. With influencers, they already have a following, and so when their first song comes out and it's the first thing they've ever made, of course it's not going to be very good, but they already have so many eyes and ears on them that their song is now getting all the wrong attention. So there's this idea of influencers doing it just because they can and just because they have the means, or because they genuinely believe in what they're making. And most often it is the former. Because if you were an influencer and you had the world at your fingertips, you had enough money to buy time at the best studios, you had people around you who could help you write songs and make you into what you think is going to be a pop star, you would. So when they get the opportunity to make a song, they're gonna make a song. So there's a lot of influencers who are making music just because they can, and I cannot blame them. But that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna criticize their music. Sorry. There was this quote from Charli D'Amelio where she's talking to Billboard and she says, "I think for me, working with the people that I work with, they're able to give me the freedom to create whatever comes naturally to me and go from there and never have to feel like I'm stuck in a box where I have to make one type of music." And I think that's something that really means a lot to me. So keeping in mind that Charli D'Amelio's only made one song, I think what she's saying here really adds to the fact that some influencers are just making music because they can and because at that moment in time they wanted to. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does create an avenue for really cheesy, cringy, do I have another adjective? Copy and paste songs. Now, Dixie D'Amelio makes me really, really, really sad because she seems to really want to make music. And that kind of veers off course from my argument that when an influencer actually is invested in the music they make and they feel genuine about the music they make, then it's not as bad as when they're just doing it because they can. Dixie D'Amelio's music is really, 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 really bad. And one day, okay, we're done with that. She seems like she really wants this. She seems like she really enjoys making music, but her music is so overproduced and it feels so inauthentic because the music feels very lazy. And she told The Hollywood Reporter that, "I feel like I've learned a lot through this whole process. Music has been a huge part of my life, but never recording. Once I did, I fell in love. Now writing I love. I'm falling in love even more in the whole process." So this experience that Dixie D'Amelio is having is just so unique. No other person who considers themselves a musician would be able to have a story like this. Her growth as a musician comes really only from her TikTok fame. Her music would not be popular or even possible if she didn't have millions and millions of followers on TikTok. This quote just reminds me that she is making music and learning about music as she's releasing it, which is just such a foreign idea to most people and most musicians. Going back to authenticity in music, there's something about the fact that in the back of our heads as listeners, we know that Dixie D'Amelio wouldn't be able to make this song if she didn't have the following she had. And as a listener, that feels inauthentic. Now that I've picked apart a few influencers and their music, I want to talk about influencer music that I actually like, that I actually think is good. And we're going to talk about why it's good, how these influencers are able to make good music and the ones I just talked about can't. Addison Rae has an EP called AR, which is her debut, and it has songs like Obsessed and To Die For that were pretty all over TikTok when they came out because she's Addison Rae, and of course her songs are going to be trending on TikTok, but also these songs in this EP feel like gimmicky TikTok songs. When I think of TikTok songs, I think of the gimmickiness of nostalgia baiting and what I'm defining now as lip sync baiting. Songs that are made in hopes of being a TikTok trend. And her two songs that I'm just talking about, Obsessed and To Die For, fall under the genre of TikTok songs. To me, TikTok songs are just something that these musicians know will get clicks because they're baiting a stupid TikTok dance. Oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. A TikTok dance. I'm thinking of Danny Gonzalez's attempt at making a TikTok sound where it's just clear that it is made for a TikTok audience, not for casual listening. But we're talking about good music, so Addison Rae definitely found her footing when she made Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi and Aquamarine, and she just came out with a new song, I'm pretty sure. The difference between these songs and the songs that she released earlier is not even the production quality, it's not her singing abilities, it is lyrics. The lyrics are better. But I think it's mostly rooted in the fact that she's moving away from the genre of TikTok music because in this time of the internet, there is now a genre of TikTok music. With Diet Pepsi and Aquamarine, she has unlatched herself from this genre of TikTok and found a genre that suits her voice, suits her sound. This dance pop, alt pop, hyper pop genre that she seems to fit into very well. Another person this worked for is Nessa Barrett. I'm petting my hat. Before her recent album Aftercare came out, when I thought of music by Nessa Barrett, I thought of her song Pain, which was a pain to listen to say the least. This song is not necessarily gimmicky in a way that TikTok songs are gimmicky, but the lyrics were super lazy and cringy. But Nessa Barrett has released a lot of music since then, and I think a good amount of it is good. She's found her sound. With any musician, you can hear in their evolution of music what suited them at the time, what suits them now. If their songs were bad before and they're good now, you can see the transformation of them finding their sound. And when a musician finds the genre that feels good to them and feels like the best way to tell their story, their music sounds better because they're most likely more confident in the songs that they create and the sound feels, word of the day, more authentic, with Addison and Nessa, I think they were able to break from the mold that they created for themselves, being TikToker music, to doing something that fits in another area of music that is not only relevant right now, but well liked. They found a subgenre of pop, alt pop and dance pop, that fits their voice, fits their sound. And I think that's one of the reasons why their music is good and the bad influencer music is bad, because the bad influencer music feels so lazy that it didn't even try to find its niche. And I have some honorable mentions here. I don't have much to say about these influencers' music because I just like them. Jake Weber, Johnny Gilbert, and Carrington as Swag Nightmare. Their vibe as YouTubers and their vibe as a look is like very punk and emo. And they bring that vibe into their music, and I think that works well with their audience, because if their audience were to think that they were going to make music, they would expect what these people are making. I think they aren't getting as much criticism as these other influencers that I mentioned because they aren't promoting it to pieces. They aren't shoving this music down the throats of the people watching them. So in conclusion, part of the reason why certain influencers can make good music and certain influencers can make bad music is because of the way they present their music, the way they promote it. TikTok farms a community where even professional musicians have to promote their music in cringy ways just so that people will listen to them. Like, I did just write the song of the summer, stuff like that are inherently cringy. Professional musicians have to do because that's the way their music is heard in the 2020s. So influencer music promotion is sometimes like that. It makes the entire song, no matter what the song is about, no matter what the song sounds like, it makes that song sound cringy and inauthentic and bad because of the way that it's being promoted by the artist. And authenticity, or performed authenticity, is mainly thought of as a tortured artist in a cabin writing songs by themselves with no Wi-Fi. But artists can't do that anymore because they need to be logged in and posting things so that people will listen to their music. So that's part of the reason why some influencer music is good and some influencer music is bad. The way it's promoted and the way that it needs to be promoted makes for a bad combination when it comes to influencers making music and having to do something like that. There's also the difficult topic of authenticity in music and what people want to hear, and the genre of TikTok music and breaking away from that. And I guess it's sort of the fact that influencers feel more like us because the job they do is posting on social media, which is what most of us do anyway, without getting paid. So it's easier to criticize an influencer on their music than a professional musician on their music. But yeah, this was my analysis on bad influencer music and good influencer music, what makes them different and what makes them good versus bad, and my defense of a few influencers who make music because I think their music is good. And if you have any thoughts on influencers that I left out of this video, I'd love to hear your opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. Bye!